and welcome to Through the Smoke. My name is David, the Funk Master Foottle.
I'm Bobby, Lord Master, Chester Masterson, Esquire the Third Fabian, or Captain, Lord.
No,
But we'll get in there later.
You don't own a boat.
Yeah, I do too. It's a land boat.
Land yacht.
Land yacht.
I'm Jesse.
And I'm Eric.
And so we have exciting smokables tonight.
I have a bit of a backstory. I'm very much a fan of Balkan blends. They're very heavily infused with Latakia, very smoky, very dark. And I picked up a tin of Syrian Super Balkan last year. And picked it up from smokingpipes.com, just regular old order. When I got it in, I had discovered that it had been tinned in 07, 08. So from the manufacturer, I was from the distributor, I was receiving a 6-7 year aged tin, which is pretty much unheard of. I mean, you have to sit on tins for a while to get to that age, and at that point in time, they're, depending on the blend, worth quite a bit more than face value. So I had my very first experience with Syrian Super Balkan as an aged tobacco, and it was fantastic. So once I got done with the tin and cycled through some more and things like that, I finally decided to order a new tin in October. And got in 3 or 4 tins, socked them away, didn't think anything of it, and picked up a new tin, this tin that I ordered to pop the lid on and get into tonight. And upon inspection of the date, I realized that this one was tinned in 06. So as of a week from now, this will be an 8-year aged tobacco that I'm getting into with everyone. So
It's going to be tasty. Let that waft around a bit.
oh, and that is nice. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm a fan.
Oh wow, that's a
Oh.
lot sweeter smelling than I remember.
Yeah. And, you
Because
can,
I only had 2 bowls of this when you had the last.
and you can definitely smell the Virginias.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I know for mine,
Oh,
when that
that's
first tin, it was
good.
smoky. But after I popped the cap and let it sit for a couple of weeks, it actually developed into a really rich Balkan. But
That's nice.
it's
That's nice.
That's gonna be a nice smoke.
I'm looking forward to that.
oh yeah, it's gonna be great. So
So, does anyone have any news? Exciting news? Crazy news? I've been hearing too much of actual news, especially about what's
God.
going on overseas.
Ukraine.
But
Did you hear that Vladimir Putin was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize?
what?
when?
Like, I don't know, this week or something.
What? And there goes any semblance of respect I had for the Nobel Society.
Right, those
Curious.
Norwegians, they must be smoking something really good.
Hey, maybe they just figured we gave Obama one. We might as well give him
Oh, yeah, it's not gonna be a problem.
So, but let's not get too political.
Yeah.
But one thing I heard on the news, and I don't know how important it is per se, but to me it's big. We're all college men
Yes.
to some degree, in some form or fashion, and apparently they decided to change the SATs.
Is that right?
Yes, they decided to change the SATs. One of the ways they're changing it is they're making the writing portion optional.
Oh, God.
Oh, like the ACT.
Yeah. The reason they're making it optional, and this is what the points that they were given, is that the accuracy and factualness and very nice use of data throughout the writing prompt, or like the writing that the student does, they can't really measure that because they're not able to go out and do research. It's just basically opinions based on what might have been hearsay or something like that, or just their own general knowledge of the topic.
So are they saying it's too subjective?
No, they're saying they can't grade the student on what they wanted to grade them on, which is...
Well, I thought the point was to grade their writing, not necessarily what they were writing about or the facts behind their
Yeah, but the
arguments.
thing is though, you
For their
can't-
ability to write.
Yeah, but being able to write factually and using data and presenting points that are true and known to be true, and how you present them is also something they want to be able to grade on, and they can't do that. So that was their thinking behind why they're writing.
Duh, Captain Obvious.
I know.
Like,
And to me, like, especially when I took the GRE, there's the whole vocabulary portion of it. First of all, I think that whole idea behind vocabulary in and of itself being a measure to be asinine and like really stupid. And it seems though that there are better ways to apply that sort of thing. And writing, to me, is one of those. And I feel like if they combined maybe like vocabulary or word knowledge or things like that in with writing, so, you know, to actually gauge then vocabulary that way, that would be better. But, so they did that. They also are changing it to be based more off of the curriculum of the high schools themselves.
No.
Again, more like the ACTs.
Oh.
And they were saying that they're losing market share to the ACTs.
Well,
Which
the
is-
ACT's cheaper, it's easier to get into.
Yeah, which is interesting to me because I never really looked at them as...
It's a business.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I always thought of this as something that, like, the colleges themselves sort of
Right.
put on.
They're almost state-run.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't think it was some type of company that was just doing this. And so, apparently though, the ACTs were created to predict the student's success in a collegiate level study surrounding or setting based off of their success and knowledge of their high school curriculum. And to me, in my personal limited experience though with high school and then college was nothing like high school.
No.
To the point where my success in high school meant jack shit.
Pretty much.
In comparison
Pretty
to like
much.
how I do in college. They're so
The styles are so different.
Yeah.
I mean,
Learning
it's
styles are so
apples and
different.
oranges.
yeah.
Well, you know, the teaching styles are different, the learning styles are different. I mean, it's.
No, I would almost say it's apples and tomatoes. Because people still question whether or not a tomato should be considered a fruit.
Yeah, fair
Well,
enough.
Congress made them a vegetable, officially.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
That's-
Congress overruled science.
Of course.
Congress is above science.
Yeah. Oh, man. Above, like, first grade
Tomatoes,
science.
potatoes, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I grade a lot of papers, and
Oh, that's right.
These
You do.
and before that, I was the editor-in-chief
Yeah.
for
Oh,
a student-run academic journal on campus. People today don't know how to write. They just don't know how to write. It's awful, and so cutting a writing portion seems like a very poor decision.
Yeah.
Well, but then you have to wonder what these tests are actually meant for.
Yes.
Like, are they necessary? Do they actually show what is the student's potential? I mean, do you need to know that? What like? Because to me, my thought, looking at the ACTs and the SATs history, it was thought of weeding out people who shouldn't go to college,
Right.
for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Like, and society has progressed so much so that saying no, you shouldn't go to college in and of itself is bad.
Right.
Yes.
And that you will flat out fail in life if you don't because
Yeah.
you need a college degree to get a good job. Blah, blah.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, it's becoming very popular to think of education as a right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
As opposed to a privilege.
Absolutely.
Yes. I will say, regarding the standardized tests and stuff, when I went through my application and interview process for Harvard, I had to take the ACT and the SAT. They allowed both. So I did the ACT because of the writing portion. Because where I was at, I couldn't actually get into the SAT at the right time due to extracurriculars and things. So instead of doing the full SAT, I did the SAT 3-subject test in addition to the ACT with writing. So it was like ACT++.
Yeah.
But whenever I went through the rigmarole with them and had all of my interviews with the recruiters and stuff, they were much more interested in who I was, where I came from, who I was turning into, because as far as their mentality was concerned, they would rather have somebody that has decent test scores but is an extraordinarily high achiever and will do well in life, than somebody that'll ace test scores but can't function. So it was an interesting insight into that, because I had always been told by counselors and college recruiters that, well, you got to do good on your test to get in. Well, you got to do good on your test, and that's it, you know.
Now, granted, my undergraduate school was a bastion of, like, it was almost on the verge of a hippie commune in the middle of rural Illinois, right?
Fantastic.
And so they were a bit forward, or free thinking, I should say. But my freshman year, was the first year that Knox just flat out said, we don't want to see them. We don't want to see your grades. You can give your ACT scores to us, and we'll take them into account, but we're not going to require you to show them to us. And if you don't, we're not going to actually fault you for it.
Wow.
Before, it was like optional, but they would suggest it. Like, it would be like one of those conditions, like, unless you were stellar from the get-go, they would wind up asking to see them. But yeah, mine was just optional, and they're just, yeah, you don't have to show us. I still did.
Right.
But to me, it's just interesting. So, if these tests are supposed to predict something, what do they predict?
Many have argued your ability to take standardized tests.
Yeah. Honestly, that's how I feel about them. Is standardized tests are developed to see how well you can take standardized tests.
Because a lot of people are great test takers, but not very good at much else.
I'm awful at test taking. Standardized tests, I was not good.
No.
I got barely high enough to really get much of a scholarship or anything like that, where I went to school first in Louisiana. But other than that, I mean, it was pretty easy to get into.
Yeah. No.
I was always a stellar test taker, but a pretty mediocre student. I could never focus in class, so I always made A's and B's, but whenever I got into a standardized test, because it was very linear, I could sit down and actually knock one out and do just fantastic.
Where I came into trouble was I have I don't comprehend what I read very quickly. And so it was a problem for me to take those standardized tests, because I'd have to read the time limits. I couldn't read the question quick enough and comprehend exactly what it was asking, and then proceed to give the answer. I had to read it 2 or 3 times, read the answers 2 or 3 times, and sometimes I had to just read the answers and see if I could guess which one matched the question best, you know? But
should there be predictors though? Like, is that something that we really need for collegiate level studies? Are we?
You know, it would be interesting to see the data that Knox gathered as far as
Standardized versus non-standard.
correct.
Yeah.
It's looking at their retention rate in college.
Yeah.
Non-caring of tests.
And then also, but I don't know if they even maintain that. Like, I don't know if the application records for each student are kept somewhere. Like,
Yeah.
I've been out of Knox now. This is going to be 4 years, and so do they still have my application from my freshman year in 06, and that I actually sent in my ACT scores?
I'm not sure, and some of that has to do with various state regulations. And then there's also guidelines on when you're supposed to destroy said documents after you get them. And
Yeah.
I think it varies.
Yeah.
Cause,
Yeah, it depends on the state.
well, even going off of like out of a specific institution, should there be predictors? Like, should there really be something that is measured, so to speak, to gauge whether or not students should go to school?
In my opinion, that is the job of the people who are granting scholarships.
Yeah.
That is not necessarily the job of the university,
Okay.
who, frankly, is just offering a service for a set fee.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And so if you can afford to pay, provided once you pay for the service you're actually passing your classes,
Yeah.
then yeah, they should let in anyone. Now, if you're in the business of giving out scholarships, then oh yeah, because you don't want your money to be wasted.
Oh yeah.
Of course, so much of that is intertwined.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
it seems interesting to me, and I feel as though the direction that the education system has been moving as of late, and you mentioned like people are thinking it's a right now. People are thinking that higher education, or at least like secondary education, is a right. Is that should we make universities come out and say, we'll take anyone as long as you pay us? Because it's getting to the point where they're doing that anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
But they just won't admit it because they want to maintain a certain level of
integrity.
Yeah.
Academic integrity.
Well, no, it's not even integrity. They're not. I'm sorry. There is not a college in this country, maybe even the world, that has good integrity. Period. I'm sorry. Bunch of hacks, bunch of quacks, bunch of fucking rip-offs. Okay? I'm sorry. And I'm probably gonna become a professor somewhere, and I'm saying that.
Fair enough.
Right?
Fair enough.
But
Okay.
What to me though, they're just trying to, like, Harvard wouldn't be Harvard if they came out and said, we take everyone.
We just want your money.
We just want your money.
Yeah. So they want a lot of money.
So because that's a business tactic.
Yeah.
If you can maintain that brand.
Yeah, it's brand, and that's all it is it's legitimately branding.
Yeah.
You pay for the brand at that point, you don't pay for the education.
And I'm sorry, ESPN, but fuck you, it's not the Ohio State, it's just Ohio State.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That annoys me to no end. Talk about branding of colleges. It's Ohio State. There's no "the" in front of it. You go around campus, it's on the signs out there. It's just
the
Ohio
WT.
State. VWT.
The WT.
and they are the assholes. So good thing, bad thing? Them changing this? I mean, as knowledge is being updated, so to speak, the big bank of knowledge that is out there, yes, tests need to be updated. But is this change necessary?
I don't think the answer is as straightforward as we'd like to think.
Yeah, I think that's the. I don't think there's a straight answer to it at all.
Should we come up with a different test? Like we should write the next
Great standardized
Yes.
test. We need to go back to the trivium.
Yeah, like random facts of knowledge.
Random facts of knowledge through 3 major fields of study, like philosophy, biology.
Yeah.
What is it? Math? Yeah. Philosophy, biology.
No, fuck math.
Fuck math. Okay. History then. History.
Yeah, history works. And then philosophy.
Yeah. Philosophy, the natural sciences, and history.
To what degree, and this isn't directed towards you with the philosophy major, but at the same time, you probably
directed towards you.
probably have more experience in this. To what degree was bullshitting a part of your college education?
Oh, an immense part. I can say that wholeheartedly. If you can come up with a logic, and it was just rhetoric and logic is all it was.
Yeah.
Of course, the bigger words that you use.
Oh yeah.
However many, if you can use more syllables,
I'm
you
about
sound
to graduate with my BBA.
So then maybe the GRE has it right by having a vocabulary
You know, I
test.
think it
because
does.
then, if you know big words, you'll do well in graduate school.
Yeah. Hell, I was gonna say I'm about to graduate with a BBA, and a third of my stuff has been bullshitting.
You know,
Like,
it's the truth. But Bob comes in and he talks to me about all his business stuff, right? And I understand it completely when he cuts out the business jargon. Right?
Yeah.
Because each field, especially in
specific.
the softer sciences, have its own set of jargon that really prevents the layman from understanding what they're talking about.
Utility to a layman means something entirely different that utility to an economist means.
Correct.
I mean, they're completely different. but
And
the
so
same
these
word.
professors seize common words and redefine them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then you have to relearn those
That's-
words in order to be part of the club.
That is one of my favorite tactics of getting through an essay that I really either 1, don't want to write, or 2, are struggling writing it. Is I pick a term that has been discussed, that is a general topic of what the essay is about, and I redefine it. and then explore what that new definition does by twisting what we have currently been talking about. And oh man, have I gotten through essays that way.
The start of almost any of the papers that I wrote, and part of that's just normal procedure. You've got to define exactly what it is you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for my thesis, I redefine terms all the time, saying in this specific context, this word refers specifically to this.
Yeah, I've done that a lot. Yeah.
A lot of my art papers or art essays, things like that. They were all. I mean, I'd pick a few terms that I understood really well and started using big words and
There you go.
elaborated on a small fact and made the essay. And I passed almost every one of them.
My dad likes to joke about Knox, and like I was saying, it's like almost like a hippie commune, but it's not. I mean, it's a liberal arts college. It's a decent university. I learned so much. It has excellent opportunities, but he likes to joke around about, I bet all your homework assignments and essays and stuff like that are so much different down there in Texas. They're not as much focused on the touchy-feely stuff. I'm not gonna say you're wrong, but your wording could use a little bit of tweaking. Yeah. So
That's fair.
here's another thing going off of, since we're on the topic of college or universities. Should we really start enforcing more varying weights to different degrees?
It's hard. That's
because a master's now in business seems almost required for like an upper management.
Well, but that's just because getting a bachelor's degree has become a requisite to
Yeah.
get any sort of job.
But a master's of fine arts is almost like it's the penultimate.
That is the top. That is
Yeah.
there's no
the
doctorate.
MFA, right?
Yes. MFA is the equivalent of a doctorate.
Yeah. But like as associates, there's been way more push to make that mean something. And I'm not saying it shouldn't.
It really depends on the actual job field itself. I know in my job field, they put a much heavier weight on certifications and experience than they do on degrees. And I know a lot of people with associate's degrees that make much more money than people with masters.
Yeah. Well, okay, we're talking about, I guess, kind of the value of a certain level of degree.
Well, not necessarily value monetarily.
No, I mean like the
weight.
value of like knowledge.
Yeah.
Okay, so like in my field, I have a BFA, a Bachelor of Fine Arts, right? A BA is the equivalent of a Bachelor in Business.
Yeah.
A BFA is the equivalent of a Master's, and then an MFA is the equivalent of a Doctorate.
Okay.
Doctorate. That's kind of the way it goes.
Is there a
Something that
master's
has
of
to
arts?
There is, but the
Yeah.
I mean,
yes.
Oh, you do.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
But in the art field. is what I'm talking
Okay. Like in the
There
quote-unquote
is-
fine arts.
Yes, in the fine arts field,
Gotcha.
there is still a BA. The Bachelor of Arts. You still have a degree in it, but you didn't do the show. You're not required to do a show. You're not required to write a paper.
Yeah.
I was required to do both.
So pretty much the equivalent of like a thesis. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it varies on saturation and perhaps the ubiquity of the degrees in the field.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
because there's some. To me, there are some fields where you don't need extra schooling for it.
No.
I mean, and you can make the argument that even some master's degrees and PhDs, which I'm applying for, so I hope this doesn't come back and bite me in the ass I'm talking about this, but they seem to be not as heavy on giving you more additional information that you couldn't have gotten somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like, in my field specifically, they're more research focused. And so, yes, I am learning something that I would not have known somewhere else, but at the same time, like, had I the funding and the facilities, I wouldn't need that PhD program to do that research.
Fair enough.
And so, what's interesting to think about then is what is actually the constituent parts of that program that make it an additional amount of learning.
Yeah.
And it's hard to measure that.
Well,
Food for thought. Let's
Yeah.
take a pause.
As you stare down the camera. Welcome back! Welcome back. So, we were talking about colleges and universities and education to a higher degree. And that's a rabbit hole that we can continue to go down. But as we took our break, I remembered something that I wanted to talk about. And it has to deal with our little breaks. So, my Aunt Flora was a lovely lady. And she was always trying to get my brother and myself to be, cultured. I guess you could say. So she would take us to like the opera. She would take us to the symphony. She would take us to the Chicago Art Institute and the different museums and things like that. Like she wanted us to be cultured.
Yeah.
And every time we would go and visit her, we would visit her like maybe once, twice a month. She had this condo in downtown Chicago. She would buy us a book. She would go to this. She would walk because she never learned how to drive. Either walk or take a bus to this bookstore that she knew of and liked, and would buy us a book, and we would get a new book every time. Well, when she passed away, and like this was a little spark plug of a woman. I mean, she passed away at 92, and up until she was in her early 80s, she was teaching yoga. And then she's like, oh, I'm getting too old for this. So then she just took yoga. She was the head of the art department at the Chicago Library. Like this was, a little spark plug of a woman. And when she passed away, she left her condo to my brother and I in the form of a quote-unquote trust. And that was kind of like to help pay for college in a sense. And we just held on to it, and we rented it here and there to some renters. But it's never really brought in too much as a way of money goes. But we, with the market as it's been, decided to sell.
Okay.
And we had a buyer, and it closed Monday.
Oh.
So it's exciting, but at the same time it's kind of like...
It's bittersweet.
Aw.
Right.
Yeah.
Lots of nostalgic memories
Yes.
there.
And so, I mean, shoot, that was the building that her condo is in, and myself being a co-owner of one of the units was the reason I was able to use the top floor party deck as my venue for my wedding.
Yeah.
And so it's just weird to think, like, I guess it just worked out. Things happened the way they should, that we weren't able to sell it or rent it out very
Until
much. Until after I got married and used it. So, ooh, mysterious ways, right? But anyway, with that, we're going to, or at least I'm going to invest a little bit in the podcast to ensure that it keeps on getting going and well. The reason why we have to take these little breaks is the camera that we are using currently is a little bit limited in the duration that it can film without shutting itself off. So we have to just kind of go boop and turn it off, and then boop and turn it back on, and then continue filming. And so the one I'm going to be buying, it's a little handy cam. The guys over at Rooster Teeth use the same one for their podcast, which lasts an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes, so we're good in that regard of constant filming. So we should be able to be fine. Now, what's nice though is if you are accustomed to these little breaks that we've been taking, because it's a breaking conversation, YouTube has this really nice feature where you can pause. So you're not going to miss out in that regard. You can still take breaks. So don't worry. It's just we can't take any breaks, so it's going to be a grueling podcast, a smoke marathon,
Test of endurance.
Yeah. Yes. What did I send in this text? Oh yeah, you're like, gentlemen, today we meet at 7:48, and I said we ride upon the epic horse that is the pod, is the cast of pods. Yes.
Huzzah!
So yes, we will ride upon the epic horse that is the cast of pods more often, and be able to do it in one fell swoop. So this isn't a broken cavalry charge. This is a full-on. So
I request a pony.
Speaking of which,
what? No. You have a captain's hat. You don't need a goddamn pony.
I need a ladder then. Damn it!
You need a ladder.
Get on the
If I cannot have a pony, then I shall have a ladder.
Yeah. So speaking of ponies, this is completely left field. Let me have it.
All right.
So at the place in which I work, one of the guys there has 3 children from all 3 different mothers. Well, he's a
fantastic.
swell human being. Anyway, he to prove one of his baby mamas wrong,
Oh no.
bought 12 ponies.
What?
He bought 12 ponies just because he could, and just to prove his baby mama wrong. And outdo her.
What?
That's asking for a court
Saying-
case for
because
more
She said
child support.
he wouldn't do it, and so he did. And so he bought 12. He has them at his mother's place. But it's just one of those things. Like, who the fuck goes out and buys 12
Idiotic
ponies
jackass.
just for the shits of it?
Now, I'm guessing currently with how the market's been hit, ponies themselves are not very expensive.
You can't
No.
hardly give a
250
horse
apiece.
away.
Yeah, what?
He paid $250 a piece.
Right.
That's still a good chunk of change for 12.
Oh yeah.
But
He also
what's
makes
gonna
80 grand a year.
well, I was gonna say what's gonna bite him in the ass
His
is
feet.
upkeep.
Yeah,
Feed.
but he bought them, and apparently there's a horse sale in a few weeks, and he's just
He's
keep
gonna
until
turn
then.
around and
He
sell
bought them, and he let his daughter take the pick of them, like pick the pony that she wanted, and he's gonna keep that one.
Okay, honey, pick a pony.
Because he wants her to start rodeoing, blah 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 blah.
Oh, okay,
but
cool.
you know, so that was kind of cool. I mean, he's gonna do that for his daughter, but he's gonna sell the rest.
So he's got 2 other ones. Why don't they get a pony?
2 other. Oh, because this is just for this one.
Wow.
He's got 2 daughters and 1 son.
Now, do the other kids
I haven't got a clue.
know that the other kids exist?
Haven't. Yeah, I think so. I don't know. One of them is baby, like infant.
Oh, okay.
Oh
Okay.
boy.
Oh, so
Is there a
recently.
ladder?
You're a cradle.
So anyway, yeah.
I'm gonna build a cradle mount for a horse.
That's my random for the night.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that in there. Speaking of
Wow, that's
ponies.
fantastic.
12. Where?
Well,
No, were they all from the same place?
Is
or
this
did
a
they
bad
have
math?
the same guy? Wow.
Yeah.
Is this a bad math problem? I'm just saying, is there 67
So-
watermelons
so-
to go with these 12 ponies?
what?
12 ponies, 3 kids.
Yeah.
67 watermelons.
And
And
partridge in
2
a
blue
Purple because aliens don't wear hats.
Yeah.
Because aliens don't wear hats. Oh god.
No, I have some wild hairs sometime.
Well,
Oh, to top this off, by the way, to his
Oh,
randomness.
there's more.
He went through the steps of trying to organize a pony rodeo. Okay? He was gonna do a pony bucking. So, you know, miniature broncs. And then he was gonna do goat roping and miniature and stake horse races, and all this stuff.
Okay.
Went through all the stuff to get it, found out that it's just too much work in the end, and so he canned the whole thing. But he got real close. He had the insurance figured out. You have to have $1 million liability insurance to put on a rodeo.
that's what I thought. Yeah, you gotta have a pretty
Ridiculous.
stiff insurance policy, yeah.
But anyway, it was just kind of a fun thing to do.
Considering
He wasted a lot of time at work doing this, and so my sales went up for a little bit.
Hey!
Couldn't complain too much.
12 ponies. I wouldn't even know how to go about finding 12 ponies to buy.
I don't, wow. This is a bad math problem. That's all there is.
Horrid.
Mr. Thompson went out and bought 12 ponies. He's going to sell 3 and ship the other remaining ones to France for meat.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how many ponies go in a French stew? Like, you don't need to ship them off to France. Just ship them to Canada.
Mexico.
Yeah.
Mexico, that's
Okay,
closer.
so why don't we eat horse meat?
Damn.
Because I guess there's always been a stigma against horse meat. We have no problem turning them into glue,
Yeah.
but God forbid we eat them.
Now, isn't it?
Horse meat's a delicacy in Russia, isn't it?
I don't know. There's,
Well,
there's
I
a
mean,
lot of
There was,
places to
there was a
make it.
there was
It's
a Russian
just
in one of my classes, and he was like, "Yeah, I eat a horse meat. It's a nice delicacy."
I had a friend from Ecuador, and she eats guinea pig.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Hey, I got 2 at the house.
Barbecue! Barbecue!
I guess I don't know, but to the best of my knowledge, it's just been a social stigma that we use them as working animals and we get a bond to them, so we can't eat them. But I grew up eating goat, And
Yeah,
you know, we
that's
had bottle babies and stuff. You know, I mean, they were pets just as much as feed.
Hi ho silver until I'm hungry. Like,
Like, I don't know.
people I guess just grow too attached and
Yeah.
So I don't really know why we don't eat meat or horse meat. And
I just look at their flanks and I'm just like, there's so much meat there.
oh yeah.
There's so much meat there.
yeah.
So good eating.
No, no.
And that's weird, I guess. But I don't know.
Well, I mean, to be fair, there's quite a few animals that I do that with. I'm like, I would eat that. Wait, actually, we were talking.
That's what she said?
Yeah. No, I remember we were actually sitting in an economics club meeting, and we were discussing unintended consequences. And one of the most famous cases of unintended consequences is the cane toad problem in Australia.
Yes.
In the 1800s, when the Australians became not so much a prison colony, I say not so much because they're still a little shady, but they found that Australia, and the places that things other than hard mode stuff grows, is sugarcane. And they had a massive problem with the sugarcane beetle infesting crops. So they imported cane toads that eat the sugarcane beetles. The problem is they imported one of the meanest toads to the world's meanest place, where it has no natural predators.
Yeah.
So they bred like wildfire and became filled with Australian malice and cruelty, and yeah, they're just everywhere, and it's miserable.
Okay.
Hard mode just became
So,
expert mode.
I'm a biologist that deals mostly with taxonomy and ecology, but I work at an agricultural research station, and actually one of our biggest focuses in my department is biological control of pests.
Oh.
Yeah, so we deal with a lot of this stuff, and there's so much that goes into it. I mean, it takes years for a potential biological control agent, so in this instance it was the cane toads, to be legally introduced even to your own lab.
Yeah.
And so, like, it takes a lot of finicky stuff. One thing that we're dealing with is this beetle that feeds on salt cedar trees.
Oh.
And salt cedar trees here is this noxious, it's a noxious weed.
And it's an invasive species.
It is an
Yeah,
invasive
it's
species.
invasive.
And it destroys habitats and it outcompetes all other local flora.
Yeah.
Kudzu.
Yes, yeah. And so this beetle was brought in. Well, people actually buy salt cedar as an ornamental, as well as related species of trees can sometimes be hit by this beetle. But what they do is they go tear it down a little bit and defoliate it and eat it, and then they're like, it was only okay, and then never really go back to it that much. And so, but there's just such a pushback against this, and it's just interesting. There's so many things that go into trying to introduce it, and then you see these horrible, like, experiments gone wrong, where people are like, "Oh, I have an idea! I have this toad! Maha!"
Let's release thousands of them and see what happens.
Yeah.
Oh, look at Russian thistle,
Yeah.
Yeah.
aka the
Tumbleweed.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're miserable. I think Australia has finally reached the point of the kill it with fire stage.
Yeah.
I believe they're actually torching entire populations of cane toad because they can't.
I
do
know
anything
that. I know that. If you see one, you're supposed to kill it.
else. Yes.
It's not like here where if you see a wild boar, you can just go and kill it because it's a pest.
Right.
And like it's suggested that you do so, but you don't have to. Like there, if you see a cane toad, it's like you kill it.
You
kill that thing.
Period.
Destroy it.
Yes.
Like make sure it never ever procreate. Just destroy it. Yeah.
But to get back on topic, we were talking about it, and all I could think about was the size of a cane toad. Because, I mean, these are like 15, 20-pound toads eventually. I mean, they're huge.
Yeah,
They'll cover up.
If they
They're
don't,
as big as my MacBook. They will cover dinner plates.
if they don't get taken care of and they just like roam free, like yeah.
And so all I could think about
Make a cool boot.
was a cane toad would make a fantastic set of frog legs. Like, barbecue, man.
I don't know about
It's
that.
not like little frog legs. That's like chicken wings or like turkey legs.
Turkey leg!
And that's all I can think about is I'm sure it would taste horrible. But I'm like, why don't they just harvest them? Turn them into the great Australian delicacy. Cane toad leg. Fried king toad. But then I realized that
Everybody's
they
tried
have
that.
poisonous skin and they have blood glands that they shoot people in the face with.
Yeah,
and they're
yeah,
just, they're miserable.
Yeah,
But
they're little he devils.
For-
He devils, but
for a little while there, in my mind, it sounded pretty good.
talking about animals that you're interested in eating. And for the vegetarians out there, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Fast forward.
But this is going to be an excellent topic for a while. I've always wondered what a manatee tastes like.
Sea cow.
Yeah, it's sea
Yeah,
cow.
yeah, okay.
Like with a name like that, all I'm thinking is just like,
Water snake?
yeah,
Does
and-
sea cow taste like chicken? I don't know.
yeah, but it's just like.
I remember.
It's like beef.
If you've ever seen one like swim around, you would just feel like the most horrible person ever.
Arsunga.
They're like they're so tame
They're
and
just kinda-
friendly, and they're like
They're like
I'm a manatee.
They're like this happy little sea hoover. Like they just kind of.
They're the cow
Like, yeah,
of the
yeah,
They're literal sea
Yeah,
cows.
but the thing is though, you can go out and look at a cow and you're just like, you are a stupid animal. Like I'm gonna eat you. Like thank you McDonald's. But when you go and see a manatee, you're not thinking that.
You're like
But they're just interesting enough to where I would like to know what they taste like.
that's fair.
I would, like they're endangered and then they're
yeah,
protected.
that's a
and
big
you're not supposed
no-no.
to-
But if one died and you were
I bet-
around,
And you were to happen to.
yeah,
you know,
hypothetically
you were hungry.
speaking, there may or may not be a barbecue. I
Gut
mean,
feeling, they're scrumptious.
gut
Hey,
feeling.
Just saying.
Fair enough.
Maybe one day, man. Maybe
Yeah, who
Yeah,
knows?
yeah, speaking of
Yeah, I can become like a manatee farmer.
David Fiddle, manatee farmer.
It's like how do you have cattle? It's like, oh, you don't understand. It's like, no. All you have on your property is just one giant lake. Exactly.
That'd be fantastic.
Look at all of them roam free. I don't see anything.
Okay, so here's a Velociraptor question
Okay.
for you. They call tuna the chicken of the sea. Does that mean we can call chicken land tuna?
Yes.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
I'm down
I
with it.
had to ask. Is that land tuna? If tuna is sea chicken, then
No.
then naturally chicken should be land tuna.
Yes.
It's only fair.
Okay, fantastic. They're both used in salads. True.
enough. And actually, the recipes are somewhat
They're
similar.
very similar.
Fucking mayonnaise.
Well, now that you've voiced your
Welcome to
opinions on
South.
mayonnaise, welcome to the South.
I know. Chalk it on the list.
Yes!
No. It's not even the South. Like, go to a place like Jimmy John's, right?
Oh yeah.
They put mayonnaise on everything.
Love
Yeah.
their sandwiches.
They
But I
put mayo on
swear,
everything.
my first 10, and I'm not speaking hyperbole, 10 times I went to Jimmy John's and I say, no mayo, no mayonnaise, no mayo, nothing. I swear they take one of their gallon-sized tubs and open it, they just take sandwich and go, and like a French dip in mayonnaise. And I'm just like, stop it! No! I don't want random, weird, fatty, gross, white things on my sandwich.
So all I could think about was Super Troopers.
So you don't like mayonnaise at all then?
No.
No,
No.
I mean, but okay, so it doesn't affect me like mustard does. Mustard, I will gag.
Oh, okay.
Like
Wow.
even the smell of mustard will make me go, oh, like, but mayo I just don't like.
Okay. What about Miracle Whip?
No.
No? Okay, good. I hate Miracle Whip.
Is there
It's
is
the
there
wor-
is
There's
there
a different taste. There's a different tast. There is. I hate Miracle Whip with the
Honestly?
burning passion of a thousand suns.
do you like Cool Whip or whipped cream? Or whipped cream.
I like
Honestly,
Cool Whip.
I'm pretty condiment agnostic. I don't really care.
Condimnostic?
Agnostic? Ah! Yeah, I really don't care. I mean, I've eaten things with mayo and mayonnaise and Miracle Whip and mustard, and honestly, as far as sandwiches and things are concerned, I could care less if you put mustard and mayo on there or hot sauce or what. I don't really care. It's all pretty awesome. But I'm also a huge gravy fan. I think gravy could be put on everything and it'd be fine.
I like barbecue sauce.
I like barbecue sauce. That's definitely my number one go-to. But
See, so we're going full swing here because we were talking about random animals we'd like to eat, and now we're talking about what to garnish them with.
yeah, barbecue sauce is a number one. I think followed by hot sauce. I can put hot sauce on anything.
Speaking of hot sauce, we tried a bunch at your in-laws at their wonderful Mardi Gras.
Oh my god.
Fantastic food.
All we could hear was how hot these hot sauces were.
And so we had to try.
They weren't hot.
They weren't hot.
But I did like one of them a lot, and actually I would like to buy it. The Slap Ya Mama.
Oh, the malt.
Yeah.
The mash, yeah.
It was made with mash.
It was, I dabble a little bit in brewing and such, so the smell of mash is extraordinarily unique, and it very much sticks out in my mind. And David grabbed the bottle of Slap Ya Mama, pulled it, and was like, smell this. So I grabbed it, and I went, and the first thing I could think of was, this is mash. They have made this into mash. And I couldn't stop just screaming that this was mash. And we finally looked at the ingredients, and it was
kept going. Mash,
it's mash. We looked at it, and it was pepper mash.
Yep.
I was like,
Look, even up to
so. The funny things that you pick up whenever you do random hobbies.
What was your favorite hot sauce that we tried? There was one. It was Ring of Fire, right? And it what was the tagline?
Burns you twice, right?
Burns you twice.
So, you know,
God.
I thought that one had a pretty good flavor. The hottest one was, what was it, the hot sauce from hell?
Yeah, I think so, but it wasn't really that.
It was the hottest of the bunch, but it wasn't
It wasn't hot.
the residual heat. It had residual
Yes,
heat.
if you smothered something in it, it would continue to build on itself until it got to the point where it was pretty hot. But in general,
A little dabble.
a little dabble, with every bite, and it's pretty fantastic. No big deal.
Yeah, then nothing was hot. You know, the hottest stuff I've ever had actually been jalapenos. Some are like candy,
Oh God, yeah.
you know, and then some you're just hugging the toilet the next
Sweat.
morning and then
You're
praying
just
to
like-
God to end your life because you're that miserable, right?
Yeah.
That's
That's
why,
happened to me
That
before.
is why I don't like jalapenos very much.
It's like Russian roulette.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
Am I gonna enjoy this, or is this gonna kill me?
It's like inserting a USB. You have a 50% chance that you're gonna get it right, and you never do, right?
Right.
So, for me, whenever I'm like, you know what, I'm in the mood for something spicy, I bite a jalapeno, and it's like a bell pepper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And whenever I'm just like, I just want that,
Pepper
unique
flavor.
pepper flavor. It's like,
I've had that problem where I'll pick up a jalapeno and I'll eat it and it's just fantastic, and then I'll get some that I think they'll be pretty mild and stuff them with cheese and meat and whatever and bake them, and they will make your tongue go numb and it's miserable and your face is on fire and you're like, just shoot me now.
Hottest jalapeno I ever had was a deep fried jalapeno.
Yes.
Son of a bug.
Yes.
Burned me. Oh my god. Twice.
Yeah. It's
Twice.
absolutely miserable. Yeah.
Just as bad the second time.
I very much enjoy habaneros because I always know what I'm going to get with a habanero, and in general, they're hot, but they're a pretty sweet pepper. But jalapenos are just
Up and down.
You know, I like
Now,
habaneros,
pickled
but the flavor
jalapenos-
itself.
Pickled jalapenos
Yeah.
I found usually are not very hot.
I
For
don't-
me, they're not hot. They're just good for flavor.
I'm not
you
big
know.
on pickled jalapenos. That's
the only pickled pepper that I like are
pickled pepper.
yeah.
Dang it!
Rubber baby buggy bumpers, right?
Rubber baby buggy bumpers.
I was talking with my buddy about like Arnold Schwarzenegger quotes, and that one came to mind. Rubber baby buggy bumpers, right? No, but and like the tongue twisters just reminded me of that. But are the kind, and I don't know what kind they are, but the kind that come on Chicago hot dogs, the Chicago dog.
Oh
Chicago
yeah, they're like banana peppers.
yeah, but they're like
not quite the same.
But yes,
Yeah.
those are the only quote unquote pickled peppers I like.
Those are pretty good.
Those are
Speaking
tasty.
of which, we have a little bit of time before our next break.
Okay.
I received as a gift for my birthday, and I've been waiting until it got warmer because of the environment in which it needs to be grown in. But I received this fantastic little can with soil and everything ready to go. I just popped the top, put the little base on it, and water it. I've received seedlings for a ghost chili plant.
Oh god. No thanks.
So I know they can be miserably hot, but I've had things with ghost chili extract and pepper in them and stuff. And in general, they're really not that bad. Now, that's not to say I've had a legitimate take a bite out of a ghost chili. No. But I think that this ghost chili plant, if I can get it to sprout well enough in my apartment, will have potential for some pretty killer chili come summertime.
Killer as in like someone will die from it, or killer as in like good?
Every way you can think.
Okay.
We'll find out. We'll get there. We'll find out.
All right.
So- But anyways, it's about time for a break, so Tell us your favorite peppers.
And then we'll see you in a bit.
Hello, everyone. We're stuffing our faces now,
It's
but
a little nosh, you know.
yeah.
I mean, you normally, whenever we take a break, it's like maybe a couple minutes. One of us can go to the washroom or something like that. But and then we usually just start back up. But he was hungry, so we took a little bit of a longer break, and we actually got some food. He didn't get any food because
And he got a toy.
I got a toy. I'm really excited to see what my toy is.
Oh yeah.
But like a good kid, I'm
The
gonna
toy
wait.
comes last.
Yes, I'm gonna wait.
That away.
I'm gonna wait.
That away.
I'm gonna wait.
Be strong, David.
Yes.
So we were just discussing over the break, on a completely random note, not related to anything we've been talking about tonight. I'm a huge fan of Cracked.com. They're hilarious. They have some fantastic articles, but they also do videos. And a video they did a couple of weeks ago was the 6 things Pulp Fiction stole from an ancient history epic. And that epic is King Arthur. And it's talking about the similarities between Pulp Fiction and the tale of King Arthur. And it was utterly fantastic. We won't go into detail. You can go to Cracked and check it out. It's funny.
Yeah.
But we were discussing the song at the beginning, you know, Miserlou, it's... Yeah, you know, real fast. Yeah. It's like, you know, the beach rock song, basically.
Yeah.
It's from the 50s, whatever. Dave found, I guess, the original version, or where that song came from, as far as the original, I guess, loop track. And so we were just listening to it, but it's actually a song from 1931 called Egyptian Girl.
Yep.
And it's
By Mikes Petrinos.
it's pretty interesting. So if you get a chance, go check it out. You very much hear Miserlou. You hear the song, but it's an interesting take, considering it's an original. They've done some modifications too.
And I think that was that not a guitar. What's that?
Sitar.
Sitar.
Sitar, yeah.
Is that a sitar?
It sound well.
Something like it. Some
Similar.
type of.
Could have been a mandolin.
Maybe.
It could have been a mandolin. It sounded more like a mandolin, but yeah, I don't know, sitar, mandolin, something like that.
Yeah. So, and then I made the comment of nothing good is original anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are plenty of originality, there is plenty of originality still out there.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, look at the movies that are coming out as of late. Comic book movie, movie based on a book, comic book movie based on a book.
Remake of an old movie.
Yeah, like, we're getting another Godzilla movie. I found out from my buddy that they're making another Terminator movie.
Yes.
And they're
Doing
bringing
another Transformers.
Yeah,
They're also making another RoboCop.
yeah. They redid Judge Dredd.
Yeah, which that was actually pretty good. But anyways.
I'm really afraid of the day that they're gonna remake Blade Runner.
Oh, it's coming.
No, please.
Oh.
I know it's coming, and probably me saying it and now it being out in the public, someone's gonna be like, "Oh, that's a great idea," and then there would be a collective weeping from all of the cult followers. But you know, like, some things should just be left untouched.
Androids dream of electric sheep?
Yeah, like how, okay, the Star Wars trilogy, the original trilogy.
Yeah. 4, 5, 6.
Yep, and how George Lucas went back later and like added a bunch of CGI and a bunch of crap like that. You can't get the original release anymore unless you had it on VHS.
I have it on VHS.
I do.
Yep.
And one of these days I should just burn it because you have it where you can make a DVD out of it, and I should do that before the VHS kind of like they stopped selling.
Deteriorates.
Yeah. But it's just like they were so good.
The original, because I've seen, you watch the original, then you watch the ones with the CGI and all that stuff, and it's just not the same.
No, it actually takes away more from it.
Who shot first?
Han.
Han, yep. Han shot first.
I'm sorry.
I don't care what anybody says, Han shot first.
Han shot first. Yeah, like, funny enough, there's a role-playing game based on the Star Wars universe, right? The setting of the Star Wars universe. And in it, one of the types of character classes you can be is a quote-unquote scoundrel. And they use Han as the archetypal, like, figure to kind of model yourself after.
Yeah.
And so, how can you consider him to be a scoundrel and then, him do this? Especially because the whole idea of the original trilogy is that through the course of those films, he goes through his redemption and comes out at the end finally doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And it's of his own accord. Whereas if he was starting in the first one, shooting second, like, that kind of means from the get-go he was a good guy. And he wasn't.
No, he was an outlaw. He was a bandit.
That's
He was a smuggler.
When that was why when he all of a sudden comes out of nowhere to help Luke when they were going towards
The Death Star.
the Death Star, and
You're like,
yeah, you're just like, holy shit, he came back.
he did it. He did it. Because you always wondered.
Yeah,
Especially, I remember when I was little, I always wondered, is he really going to come back?
yeah.
You know?
Like, did he just go with the money?
Yeah. I don't know.
It's like Lone Star and Spaceballs.
Right.
Yeah. Or, for your anime fans out there, Outlaw Star.
True.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not anime fan enough to understand that.
Outlaw Star it's in the same vein as Cowboy Bebop. It's a space western, based around a ship. There's two main factions in the story, and it's the I guess the Federation, whatever you want to call it, and the Outlaws, which they're pirates. And
Yeah.
there's this ship, which is the Outlaw Star, that takes technologies from both, and were made into a clandestine operation, turned these Federation and pirate technologies into the single ship, and that is the Outlaw Star. So there's this apathetic guy, hates space, doesn't want to go into it or anything like that, has a pretty rough past dealing with space and his family and stuff, comes across this ship, basically almost by chance, pretty much, but it's the journeys of his ship and everyone trying to get a hold of this ship, and they don't really want anything to do with him. He's just he's a gun for, well, he's not even a gun for hire, but he collects bounties on people and stuff, so he's not necessarily a good guy, but you get the idea. So it's
I'm the dog, the big red dog.
Oh god.
Like, that's when I think of bounty hunter, I think of either Boba Fett
Yeah.
or not even Dog the Bounty Hunter, but Cartman as Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Oh god. Okay.
Yeah, when he was the hall monitor.
You gotta come to Christ, brah.
You gotta get back, bro. I was turn my aliens, guys. Sorry. That was a weird episode. I remember that episode.
So-
I attack on Mongolians.
Yo,
You tear down my shitty world.
funny enough, that one of the deemed by a lot of people to be the stupidest, it was quoted as being one of the most offensive shows at one point, is probably some of the best social satire out there.
Very.
Oh my god, it's fantastic.
I mean, and it covers a wide spectrum. I mean, it's social, it's economic, it's political.
Really, you have to be kind of educated to watch South Park.
Well, you
And
can
understand it.
Well, to pick up on that sort of thing.
Right. Otherwise, the toilet humor and other crass items will entertain you.
Yeah.
But
Well, I remember an episode whenever I was younger, right after Martha Stewart got sent to prison, where she breaks out of prison, turns into Martha Stewart and fights Godzilla.
Yeah.
And so it was like Godzilla versus Mecha Godzilla, but it was Mecha Martha Stewart, and really trashed all of South Park and everything. It was so fantastic because they were making fun of her empire and the fact that she got thrown into jail and stuff.
Yeah,
but
and now she's back
we're doing
on
whatever.
top of things. Like, no, she's got her own show again.
Yeah.
She's like, it's as if she didn't go to prison. If she isn't, it's as if she wasn't a felon.
Yeah, yeah, it really is.
Which, sad to think about, not many people can say. Because one of the things that's hardest to do after you go to
Is recover.
is recover from that. Like, how, if you truly don't want to do anything wrong in the eyes of the law ever again, regardless of whether or not you were innocent or whatever or anything like that from the get-go, if you maintain your innocence, but it's so difficult for people who have been to prison to then come out and try and regain a normal life and just blend in and not stick out anymore. And it's sad. It's a vicious cycle.
We don't have reinstitution rehabilitation programs for people coming out of prison.
Well, there used to be like halfway houses and stuff like that, but even then, that's
still,
yeah. So,
I don't know.
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Now, so coming full circle then,
Okay.
Putin. Putin on the Ritz, right? Did he for real get nominated for?
Yeah, for real.
That's a legitimate nomination.
Oh dear.
For the Nobel for what?
I have no clue.
Well, you know, the deal is
Yeah, there's a lot of talk of them brokering the peace with Iran and Syria being at least part of the process.
the great Eastern mediator.
Right.
Which I'm like, what? I don't know. I did read today that Crimea, the Parliament of Crimea, which
Holding a referendum.
Yeah.
Russia's now holding a referendum. They voted to be annexed back into Russia, which a lot of people are holding as illegal.
Right.
But Russia itself is now holding a referendum to recognize Crimea's referendum to be annexed back into Russia.
But the EU has already said they're not going to accept it.
Yes, the EU's already said that. But
So, but like, and it's weird. Like looking back at, you know, even when the South seceded, like, to what degree do you owe the government to say yes, we'll be a part of you? Any government, even like. Why can't you all of a sudden just say, you know what, I don't want anything to do with you?
you may all go to hell. I will go to Texas.
Like, should there be? I mean, now granted, in a global setting, a singular country's, I guess you could say, ability to maintain itself is diminished in my eyes. Like it's not as necessary.
Yeah.
Would you agree? Not necessarily through loans or support or anything like that, but like
In general, as far as just dealing with other countries, it's no longer this country is independent of all other countries. When they deal with a country, it is singular. It's an issue of a country and normally the group around it and everything meet together with the other groups of countries. So it's more of a world decision.
Yeah, to the point where like, why don't we have
Well, there's no doubt that
countries and countries and countries and countries and countries forming?
globalization has changed how we define sovereignty for independent states. And the current system that we're built on is Westphalian, right? So it's the concept of sovereignty. Basically, each independent state has the right to do whatever the hell it well pleases within its borders.
Yeah.
But globalization has made that kind of
It's nearly a moot point.
a gray area.
Yeah.
Well, there seems to be more like. Now, granted, there are some definite things where you shouldn't be doing that,
Yeah.
right? But looking at, say, for instance, going back to something Putin did just recently before he tried to occupy another country, like really trying to tamp down homosexuality
Right.
as an expression, so to speak. Not necessarily like as someone being homosexual is being suppressed, but homosexuality in expression in Sochi, right, for the Olympics and all that stuff. And there was a big hoopla about that. And what was interesting to me is there was a lot of other countries, for lack of a better term, freaking the fuck out about it. And then you have to almost take a stop and like, yeah, you may not agree with their viewpoint, and you may think it's personally bad, but
In the end, it's their laws.
yeah, well, I think it also harkens back to the idea of quote-unquote human rights.
Yeah.
Are there such things as human rights? As you just existing have rights? And to me, even those have been man-made constructs.
Well, it's very much a Western
Idea.
philosophy.
Yeah.
The idea of human rights.
I think with the issue with the gay, the homosexual laws in Sochi and Russia at that time, I don't think it was necessarily. I mean, there was a major uproar about the whole human rights issue there, freedom of expression. But I think a lot of the countries were more aggravated because of the fact that Putin said that it did not matter if they were Russian citizens or not, they would be arrested and prosecuted. So I think that was more of the issue, was just a legal issue between.
But say for instance, so Guatemala, right? They were the ones that recently just legalized marijuana, right?
Was it Guatemala or was it Peru? I don't remember.
One of those.
But some South American country legalized, and I think it wasn't just marijuana. It was
pretty much everything.
Yeah, and so if I were to go there and just get high as a kite, and then bring back some stuff to this country, or for even a better example, someone from there bringing what is completely legal there here, they're still being held to these laws, and that's for any travel anywhere. You follow the laws of the country you're in. I mean, like, you can go to like Dubai, and as foreigners, you still have to follow their strict moral laws. Like, you don't hold hands with someone of the opposite sex. You don't no public displays of affection. You wear a little bit more like
conservative,
modest garb and things like that. And it's just like, you can't fight it because you're in their country and that is the law.
Yes.
So, it sucks that he said that, but at the same time, he, as a executive of a nation, can say, if this is law in Russia, it's law in Russia.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not.
Yes, I agree.
So, it poses an interesting issue.
Yeah.
Like, to what degree do we want to, to what degree do we want to accept that globalization and the global input before we just say, and coming from, an American, that's kind of like a really oxymoronic question to ask, because, we are the Team America World Police,
America, fuck yeah.
Like where we stick our nose in everyone's business, it seems. But there has to be a limit, right? Right? You're giving me this smug face, the Jesse Jones smug face of doom.
This is why you're wrong. Let me tell it to you.
It's just a big mess. There's so much gray area. And
I don't know.
like I said, we're built off of an 18th century kind of style.
Yeah.
And we're trying to live in a 21st century world.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, it's just food for thought.
We should go back to city-states.
I agree.
Yes. I like city-states.
There was an article in The Economist about mayors. I think it was like mayors rule the world or something like that. Where if you look at successful government ventures, it's mostly at the local level. And the amount of influence that they can have for good or ill over that certain population. So, and they were talking about having an international council of mayors.
That would be
really
right to help kind of decide certain issues and whatnot. But I thought that was an interesting.
I've always liked the idea of regional governments in that sense.
Well, it's federalism for the most part.
Yeah. I know
Federal light.
Yeah, federal light. Whenever I spent time in Denmark, they're an extraordinarily tiny country. I mean, 3 million, 4 million citizens, something like that. No part of the country is further than 30 miles from the coast. I mean, 150, 200 miles total, you can cover the entire country. All of Scandinavia, which this includes Norway, Finland, and Sweden, has 25 million citizens, all together, all 4 countries. Texas has 26 million.
Yeah.
Alone. So there were a lot of questions from the natives there, from the locals, asking us Americans, especially as Texans, well, why don't you have, this fantastic infrastructure? Why don't you have
public transportation?
Public transportation. Why don't you have, an instituted healthcare system that works well, and things like this and all this, and it was really difficult to explain to him that a lot of the times for America, the issue is more or less geography and just general size. I mean, America is huge whenever you think about the entire size of the country, all of, like, oh, that's cool. All the citizens, not so much on the fact that we span such a diverse ethnic, groups. I mean, in general, and that's not even speaking of necessarily races and nationalities, but almost a sense of nationalistic pride in different areas of the country.
Yeah.
Match with those regional areas,
Look at back when it was Biggie versus Tupac.
Yeah. Yeah.
East Coast versus West Coast. You
Yeah.
know, like that was a big deal. And
Really
it was arguably in a quote unquote subculture of hip hop, but that really is a prime example of it.
Yeah, I agree. So.
Is it for better or worse? Depending, I don't know. So.
But yeah, when discussing the issue of like nationalized healthcare and things like that with them, it was really hard to get them to understand the scope that which we have to deal with in things like
Just
that.
size.
Just in size and sheer size in general, and I know they're
The third largest nation, right? It's the U.S. It's
Are you talking about just land area?
geographically, yeah.
Geographically?
It's
Yeah, I think
Russia,
so.
and I think it's Canada, and then
Canada's,
us.
Canada's pretty darn big.
yeah, Russia and Canada are up there.
And then China is also large.
The-
Not as large as
The
Russia.
US.
I think the reason we're up there is because of Alaska, because Alaska itself is nearly half the continental U.S.
Even the continental U.S.
Is large. It's very large.
48 is large. I mean, very large.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
huge.
Well, I mean, some of the smaller states of the United States are as large as country, like national
I mean,
states.
If you were
Texas
to
is
take
larger
Texas-
than like a third of Europe.
And if you were to take Texas and superimpose the borders of Texas onto Europe, I mean, it would be Europe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I saw a map of this earlier. Where they were discussing Gizmodo was discussing stupid maps that have been popping up lately and things like that. And I did not realize the scale of it, but since it's in the public's eye, they laid the geographic map of the Ukraine over the U.S. And as far as landmass size is concerned, I would say Texas is probably a shade larger than the Ukraine. I mean, just Texas alone. I mean, Texas is every bit as big as France, a little bit bigger than France. I mean, Texas itself covers a third of Europe.
Yeah,
And
it's crazy.
and we're one of the larger states, but even then,
California's a big state.
California's a big state. Alaska's massive.
Montana is actually surprisingly large.
Yes.
It's the fourth largest, I believe.
And,
Yeah.
and it has the lowest density.
Yeah.
Yes, there's
Well,
like
Wyoming-
nobody out there.
Is Wyoming the lowest density?
It might be Wyoming,
Might be.
but like I think
Right.
I think the state itself has just in the 100,000s.
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
largest city, Billings, is like a couple 100,000.
Yeah, it's
maybe?
like 250,000, I think,
It's
something like that.
like Amarillo size,
No, smaller.
Billings?
Yeah.
I know Bozeman, the capital, is relatively small.
Yeah, they're little.
Bozeman, I think, is like 50,000.
Yeah, they're little.
Yeah.
But it's hard. It was very hard for me to get other people to understand the scope of our country that have
Yeah.
never been here. So that was an interesting challenge. I don't know. Yeah, I like the idea of regional governments. It just makes more sense considering the diversity.
Yes.
Yes. So what do you think? What do you
Chimed
think?
in.
I really don't. I don't have much to say on it. I'm not as educated as you guys.
Oh my
come
god!
now.
Oh my god!
Come now.
Whatever.
I wouldn't say that.
In this matter.
Either that or your give a damn's busted.
Yeah.
That could
Yeah.
possibly be it. Very well could be it.
Yeah.
Tomorrow signifies the beginning of spring break. We don't care.
Yeah.
Whatever.
You know what this is? It's my give a shit meter. It's bouncing on zero.
See, right now my
Running on fumes.
my give a shitometer is measuring millifuckets.
Oh, nice.
I like it.
Yeah. We're getting low.
Yep.
So, well, it appears we're in our final minute for this portion. So,
All right.
any last tying things up and roundabout?
You want to go for another go or?
Eh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
take a quick break, and then we'll see you in just a little bit. Mojo and Billy Tattoo. That's one, two, three, sweet. But okay, welcome back.
Yeah.
So over the break, we were trying to figure out
What are we going to talk about?
what are we going to talk about.
What are we going to discuss?
So this last little thing, and then we were talking. You mentioned I haven't really had much to stimulate my mind, and you were feeling, oh god, I just haven't really been having a good day or blah. You took a double dose of fuck it all this morning, and, right? And yeah,
Fuck it all, my favorite drug.
yeah. And so we had mentioned this. It might have been even the last podcast was leisure, right? And how
Oh, yeah.
like the drive to get it and things like that. And you mentioned that the first season of Pokemon with the Pokemon, the thing comes out of the ball, right? Is on Netflix, and you watched it today.
Of course.
The whole season?
No! Only the
Okay.
first few episodes.
Okay, but
Nonetheless, started watching it.
so passing time and pastimes and leisurely moments. What are your favorite ways of filling it?
Oh,
Well,
God.
I think that Jesse might agree with me on this, is that I would much rather prefer to be making knives than really doing much of anything else.
Okay.
And I think he would say the same about pipes.
I would.
To an extent, or all the way.
You're thinking of going full time with this, so it's slowly moving away from a
Leisure.
hobby and
Leisure now
leisure
becoming
to
work.
Order of
To
profession.
work.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life.
Exactly.
True.
Ah,
Exactly.
Yes.
But I mean, shoot, you can even say that this is a good pastime. This is a leisurely
Yeah.
activity.
This is a
that
leisurely
I
activity.
look forward to this every week, damn it.
Yeah, same here, right? So, I mean, you can look at different kinds of sports and how they came about, and I would say golf.
Oh, God.
Ah. Golf.
You will never hear grown men swear as much
Yeah, no.
as when you're playing golf.
Amen.
And you can hear them from like 3 holes over. Fuck! Like every swear word, every curse, and all that stuff, right?
I think it was you that told the nun joke
Oh yes,
about golf.
Yeah, about golf, right? But that's still considered a leisurely activity, right? I mean, because 18 holes of golf, unless you're like speed golfing, can take anywhere between 2.5 to 4 hours.
Oh,
Hey, that's easily a half day. If you're with good friends and stuff, that could be a full day.
Yeah, and
Depends on
I
how many
always
cases of beer are involved.
yeah, and how many drink cart girls stop by, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But you
Is that
know,
what they're calling them these days?
Oh.
it never fails. They always get like the cutest,
Oh,
like
well, yeah.
youngest, like it's weird. Like they
Go out to the
marketing-
wolves.
Could've been worse.
Yeah, I know.
Go out to the wolves.
Poor them, you know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they probably get tipped well. Just a tip. Just a tip. Just for a moment. Just a tip.
This is how we get ads, people.
Change us out. Lana! What?
God almighty.
So,
Mother.
so, I guess the art of leisure has really been dwindling. Like things have been called leisure activities. Now, if I'm just sitting at home farting around on the computer, I'm not really like I would say it's a leisurely activity.
Yeah.
But in the grand scheme of things, it's really not.
No.
You know. So what would you say the definition of a leisure activity should be?
Yeah.
And should it have a definition?
It's something you enjoy doing.
Something, yeah, in the sense of leisure and what I take it to mean, it is something you enjoy doing that passes a considerable amount of time that leaves you with little to no stress.
And a feeling of fulfillment.
Yes.
To me, I would add that caveat because if you, at the end of the day, feel like you
Empty?
wasted time, and to me, like that's why my wife every once in a while, like, why do you go on YouTube and watch a bunch of stupid videos, or why do you play video games? Like you're just wasting time. I'm like, no, because if I plan to do jack shit, but that. It's not a waste of time. It is me doing exactly what I set out to do.
It's a fulfillment of that time.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's not a waste of time in any means.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, granted, there are if you measure whether you're wasting time on things you should be doing and what you actually do,
Yeah.
then yes, I have wasted copious,
Many hours.
Oh, yeah.
copious amounts of time. But to me, I feel like none of the time that other people can say I wasted was a waste of time. Personally. Do you think there's a level of investment as well that's required? Like time, money,
I was gonna say monetary or time.
Well, I
any and all?
I believe so. I know I get roped into more expensive hobbies, it seems, but
Says the man with a truck, 2 project cars,
a project motorcycle.
motorcycle,
Pipes and
distilling, and
the other thing, my hobbies are expensive.
well, so are yours.
Yeah.
Shit, spending, what's your most expensive pipe you got in that bag?
In that bag? Or just at all?
Retail or what I spent?
Well,
It's a fair
you
question.
asked the real questions
It's a fair
here.
question.
All right. But it's just
No.
like,
Wait. Your pocket watch.
What about it?
Your most expensive pocket watch.
About 500.
yeah. But then again, isn't that your only pocket watch though?
The only good one.
Oh, the good one.
You might have gotten one of those like $30 from Target pocket
Well, you know
watches.
how it starts. You go to Wally World and you're like, $10? Hell yeah!
I got me a pocket watch.
And then it lasts for like a month.
Right.
Yeah.
And then in the garbage.
Yeah.
I still have a pocket watch that I got out of one of the crane machines at Walmart one time.
Yeah.
Now
Not
that-
even lying, it still works.
That is the epitome of quality.
That's
Let me tell you.
fantastic right there.
Only thing better would be if it was one
I
of those
spent $1
quarter
on that
machines.
bitch. I spent $1 on that bitch.
Yeah.
Was it a 50-cent machine and you had it twice?
We're not gonna talk about that.
Yeah. In all seriousness, though, I do believe you have to have an investment of some sort into a hobby.
Yeah, because I mean, like, I look at some people who do those, like, gigantic paintball wars.
Oh god.
Where there's, like,
Don't get me
300
wrong,
people and 300...
Paintball is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's blast.
It is.
But, like, it's crazy the amount of money some people put into it. But I guess if that's your main hobby, why not?
Yeah, why
Yeah,
not?
exactly.
You know?
Yeah, I mean,
I'd love to turn a golf cart into a paintball tank. Like...
that's actually a really good idea.
For a time,
Why are we
I was
not
into
doing this?
paintball.
Yeah.
And we created our own, like, weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah.
With, like, compressed air and
Yes,
balloons filled
yes.
with paints.
I've done that.
And we had, like, battlefield mortar teams where you had to go out there and, like, guard the mortar team and just setting up and trying to figure out the trajectory to hit the base made out of pallets, right?
Yeah.
Just good stuff. Right.
Yeah.
Splat.
One of my fondest memories with one of my very good friends who actually died this past year in a wreck, but we were probably 11, 12, 13, and he lived in this little town a couple hours from where I was from, but there was an old abandoned granite quarry that still had, a couple of ton a piece rocks out there and stuff just stacked, and we would always try to make it, we'd get to meet a couple of times a year and stuff, and we'd always go down there normally during the fall, near like full moon time, and we would play paintball between, us two and then whatever friends else we could grab at like midnight. And go out there in the middle of the rock quarry. We waited until it was, fall or stuff, so most of the snakes are starting to go away and all the bad things that like to hang around granite quarries won't kill us. And I remember we would spend hours out there just trying to find each other and shoot each other and stuff. And it was just so fantastic, and
Yeah.
the parents turn on the lights, honk the horns a couple times, it's time to load up and head back and everything. But it was just, there was so much fun with that and just memories, and I think that's the deal with that was...
2 quick paintball stories.
Oh, gosh.
Uh-oh.
War stories.
War stories.
Right. So the way we went out and we had a little, it might have been a caliche pit, but it was fairly wooded for the area that I'm from. Lots of elm and just geographical, some topography. And we had gathered a bunch of old pallets and we built a pretty legit fort. And so we would have one team in the fort and another team trying to take the fort,
Yes.
right?
King of the hill.
Basically. And of course, we would split it up, and we got very elaborate with who was the commander and your
Yeah,
rank,
hierarchy,
hierarchy.
yeah.
And so we were storming the fort this time,
Okay.
and our mission commander gave us this wonderful morale-boosting speech. You know, we're gonna storm that place and take it. And of course, there's no man's land between our little shanty barricades for cover and to the fort. And so the commander had just delivered this excellent speech, and I was pumped, and I was going to take that fort, dadgummit. And so he gave the charge signal, and off I went, right? And about halfway into no man's land, I realized that I was the only one in no man's land. Everybody else had been pinned down. And the guy in the tower saw me and started letting loose. And at that moment, Providence must have kicked in, because I tripped, okay? I tripped over some part of debris, was rolling around in the dirt, all these paintballs shooting over my head, and somehow I made it to the edge of the fort, and I was against their wall. So I thought, this is excellent. So I put my paintball gun over the top of the thing and started lobbing off rounds as fast as I could. I had no clue where they were going. I actually hit one guy in the crotch. So I'm going around to
That's a painful thing.
Yeah.
Painful
Yeah.
experience.
It was completely by accident, but very, very interesting. So, going around to the entrance, and I come up, and the guard comes up, we stare each other right in the eyes. Well, behind the mask, of course. And I pull the trigger, and I hear, psst.
No!
And my mask just turns blue.
Shot in the face.
Shot right in the face. Another really fun one.
Well, you took it like a man.
Took it like a man. We had,
Go
this is
on.
another one of those scenarios.
Proceed.
We were down to the last man in the fort. Okay.
So you were defending this time.
I was still assaulting the
Oh,
fort.
okay.
The last opponent in the fort. Okay.
Oh, no.
And of course it's a pallet fort, so there's slots. And we were hounding this guy, and somebody shot through one of the slots and hit this guy directly in the butthole. And he came out of there like a bear. And he did not care how many times he got shot. He was gonna get his pound of flesh. I still remember him to this day running straight towards us, like shooting. We were just shooting him up like nothing fierce, and he like tackled some guy and just like obscenities.
You son of a... Yeah.
It was hilarious.
Madre de Dios!
Good stuff.
Yeah, I remember...
Dios mío.
I remember playing... Yeah, I remember playing at the quarry, and I almost thought I had killed my friend. Because I was hiding behind a rock, and I was wearing camouflage. I was wearing clothing that matched the rocks behind me and stuff. And he wasn't, and I mean, it was nearly full moon, so if you weren't in the shadows, you saw him. And it had been 25, 30 minutes. Hadn't heard him, hadn't seen him, nothing. You know, I've been sneaking around the base of the rocks, because normally he liked to get on top of the rocks and, you know, try to look down. And I had this feeling. And so I climbed up on this rock, and I was waiting behind another rock. And I popped up and over the same time he did on the same rock, and I got him at the base of the collarbone, right in the middle of his neck. It scared the hell out of him, scared the hell out of me, because I didn't really know he was there. I was just gonna pop around, and I managed to get just a pot shot off and got him there. And he just about tumbled off the rocks, and like just obscenities everywhere, and I almost thought that I had just about killed him. And it was pretty terrifying.
The first paintballing I ever did was with a couple of my buddies, and we went there, and there was teams that were practicing for like a tournament coming up, right? And I didn't have any of my own gear or anything like that. My buddy let me borrow his, and we played about like 4 matches, and we switched up teams here and there. But the first match, I got what you got when you snuck in, and you got the right there. The problem is I couldn't get the paint off for the rest of the thing, so my mask was kind of fogged up. So here I am, like the other matches, like I would think someone was popping out of there, and I start shooting, and they're like, Dave, they're over there. I'm just like, Oh!
You were that one guy.
You that guy.
Yeah.
I was that guy for that round. I'm just like, and this was my first paintballing experience.
Aw.
First match. I mean, we maybe collectively, the group of 4 of us had let off 6 shots before I got splatted in
It's
the
like,
ass.
shut the hell up, Carl.
Yeah. I'm just,
No, shut the fuck up.
My first paintballing experience was at a buddy's house, and he had some land, some wooded areas, and then some open fields that had a couple of water tanks in it, and so there were like 4 of us. So we split up into 2 teams, and we chased the other team past one of the tanks. They hid in the woods, and we had nowhere else to hide but like on the bank of this tank, and. The guy one of the guys on the other team had one of those cheap Brass Eagle pump action single shot small CO2 canister guns, and they got us a couple of times, and we just got mad, and so we started chasing them. We had no rules, we get shot.
Yeah.
Kept on going.
Kept going until we didn't have any paint left.
yeah.
And so we started chasing them down, and the guy with the pump action shotgun or pump action gun ran and stopped behind a tree, turned around, shot. We got 1 shot off, went to pump again, and the CO2 ran out. You could hear it because it made like a farting sound.
Yeah.
And so we just lit him up, man. All of our canisters just emptied on him. and we came again probably 3 months later, and this kid brought out, he was really scared of the hurt, so he wore like 6 shirts that day. Well, we came out a few months later, and he pulled out the same 6 shirts, and there were still shells from that. It was kind of bad.
I think
But I got shot in the nuts that day, and it sucked real bad. That's why I knew it hurt.
Yeah.
I think my most horrible paintballing experience was not too terribly long after I got into it, and this was a different group of friends, but they lived on some land and had lots of goats and animals and things like that, so we'd always done a lot of 4-H things like that together, and had a little pump action Brass Eagle gun and everything like that. We were playing around, anything goes, just like normal. I remember we were playing, and we were out in the middle of just BFE, mesquite trees and cactus and stuff on this land, and I saw something rustle, move and everything. So, I loaded up, and I popped up over a bush and shot it. And the same time I shot it, I realized that I had shot their llama in the neck. And that llama remembered. And every time we went back, that llama just about let me have it. Every time.
How many
That
people
llama.
can say they shot a llama in the neck with a paintball gun?
Yeah.
Not many.
It's true.
Not
It's
many.
true. But it was noticeable. This llama was white, and I had electric blue paint.
Yes.
God. I felt
Yes.
so horrible, and that llama was so aggravated at me for such a very long time. Eventually, I think he forgave me, but he was. I thought
Nothing
that
quite
llama
like a
was.
llama with a pissed off vendetta.
I thought that llama was gonna kill me. I sincerely thought he was gonna kill me. So.
Talk about elephants not forgetting.
Oh God. Yeah. That. Oh. Yeah.
An elephant may never forget, but a llama will never drop a grudge.
Yeah. Anyways, yes, I've shot a llama in the neck with a paintball gun. So.
Well, that's
There's
something to add
that.
to your bucket list. Something that you have done.
Yeah. Now I just have to breed a super llama into existence and use them as steeds for other things.
The premise of a super llama just is kind of interesting.
Llama!
That's exactly. I don't want a camel. I know what camels are, and that's basically a super llama.
Yeah.
And I don't want I don't want a camel because I want a non-humped furry monster that will spit and bite and everything else, just like a camel, but has those ears.
Oh.
Because they have those I knew it. I knew it. They have those ears, and I'm just like, oh, I'm sorry. That's why I want a super llama.
Please name him Cusco.
Oh, I will. And that's why I want a super llama.
Yay! I'm a llama! Yay!
Oh.
Oh wait.
Oh yes.
For some reason, I'm just reminded of that scene from Conan the Barbarian where Arnold Schwarzenegger eats drunk and punches out a camel. Classic.
And that reminds me of Blazing Saddles.
Mongo punching the horse.
The horse talked wrong to him, and all of a sudden he just turns around and whack! The horse goes down.
Mongo only pawn.
Candygram for Mongo. Candygram for Mongo.
Pardon me while I whip this out.
Oh. No, ma'am. 13 Schnitzengruppen is my limit. Gosh. I didn't get a rump out of that guy. You watch your ass. That movie. That was fantastic.
Oh
movie.
gosh. They don't make them like
Nobody
they used
move!
Nobody move.
We'll stop there.
to. Mel Brooks needs to come out with one last movie.
One last two, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'll read from the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and Duck. Oh, that movie. That was great.
You know the redneck gospel?
Hmm?
Matthew, Maynard, Duke, and John Boy.
Matthew, Maynard, Duke, and John Boy.
Oh, it reminds me of the Robin Williams sketch when he was live on Broadway show.
That's
Talking.
where it's from.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. The hail to him, Jim Bob. Yeah. You have all of these biblical names, and then it's Marion and Joe.
Joe, yeah.
He's talking about throwing grenades. Many of you have not opened Chardonnay under fire.
Yeah.
Stick grip and throw.
Stick it up and throw.
Yeah, because you look at a Swiss Army knife, and you're just like,
The corkscrew.
Corkscrew.
gouge someone's eye.
Yeah. I will shake you in the kidney.
Talk about an irregular wound. That's why they outlawed the trench knives, because they were three-sided.
Oh, yeah.
It's such an irregular wound, it was killing people. They couldn't
Yeah.
fix
They
it.
couldn't
Yeah.
fix them, yeah.
Heaven forbid, this is war after all.
Yeah, I know.
I guess that's the same reason that you can't use the 50 cal round for anti-personnel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because
It's anti-vehicle.
because it does bad things to people.
It mists people.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, funny story. I was talking to a Marine one time, and they were on base, or they weren't necessarily on base anymore. It was kind of that gray area in the woods and everything, but it was down south. And so him and some of his Marine buddies took one of the 50 cals out from the armory and loaded it up with the depleted uranium rounds, and we're out shooting things and whatnot. You know, drunk on and off, whatever. And they let them have it anyways, but. He said they shot a deer. They found a mule deer and they shot it. And this is a little graphic. He said that they hit him right behind the shoulder, but because of hydrostatic pressure behind that bullet, it literally gutted the deer. And I was just like, oh
Hell yeah.
oh that's
Hell yeah.
nasty. Oh, that's nasty.
Field dressing done easy.
Yeah.
Simplify.
One shot.
Oh God. Oh. No, but I have seen some serious videos where people have taken like air compressors
No.
and completely skinned deer in about 25 seconds because they blow their skins off, which is insane. But you know, yeah, and you know, just shooting llamas with paintball guns. Dang it! Llamas never get rid of their grudge.
No.
They don't.
They never drop a grudge.
Oh.
Peter gonna be pissed.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It was an accident. Forgive me. Dear Lord, baby Jesus.
You know what I like about pita? When you put lamb on it.
Yeah!
And a
Yeah!
nice cucumber sauce.
And now we've come full circle back to eating.
Oh yeah, eating animals.
Yes.
All right, then I think we're
People eating tasty
I think then since we have come full circle, you know.
It's time to kill it.
Yeah. So thank you again for tuning in. Leave us comments of your leisure activities as long as they're safe for work, so to speak.
Because we are not safe for work.
No. But tell us about that. Any funny paintball stories?
Please tell me I'm not the only one who's accidentally shot a llama. I feel really bad.
And in the meantime, don't piss off any llamas.
Yeah,
Don't piss off a llama.
exactly. And, any interesting animals you would like to try to eat? Let's not start a black market of
No.
bushmeat in the comments, but you know, say what random
Most exotic animal.
that you would like to try.
Consider eating.
Yeah.
Platypus fillet.
Hey, all right.
Would it be white meat or red meat?
That's tough.
Well, that is tough.
Would they be considered?
Food for thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, food for thought.
All right. All right. So see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.